Naruto exclusive videos lemon come out on my Boosty. The last chapters are already out on Boosty. You can watch and subscribe. Link in the description, like the video and write a comment. Enjoy watching. For the sake of love, Naruto was ready to do a lot. Even become a woman forever. He didn't even suspect what he would have to face. Prologue. Rejected confession. And so, according to this law, undying clans, I have another vacancy for the role of my wife, and I don't know what to do. These women, to be honest, have already gotten to me, but the Uchiha clan needs to be revived, so, Naruto, recommend someone third. Sasuke finished his short story, biting a blade of grass and throwing it to the corner of his mouth. Naruto sighed heavily and looked at the sky, peeking out from the thick crown of the tree, under which he and his best friend were resting after an exhausting training session, leaving smoking craters from half of the 5th training ground. At the end of the 4th Shinobi World War, Uchiha returned to Konoha. Remarkably, even without the intention of killing everyone and everything and destroying what was rebuilt after Nagato's attack. Sasuke had a new crazy goal: to revive his clan and restore its former glory and numbers. Having dug up a law from almost the times of Rakudo, he was allowed official polygamy and brides, in the amount of 3 pieces. The first to be his life partner was Haruno Sakura. The girl, of course, was not thrilled that she would have to share her long-awaited lover with someone else, but she agreed without delay. The second contender for Mrs. Uchiha was Tenten. But with the third, things somehow did not work out, and Naruto's best friend shared this problem with him. Maybe Ino? Naruto suggested languidly. Everything inside him painfully contracted. She seems to have been in love with you since childhood. No. She is the future heiress of the Yamanaka clan, Sasuke answered calmly. Then Hinata. No, Hinata is also an heiress. Maybe her sister, Hanabi, then? I already explained to you that the Hyuga are in conflict with the Uchiha clan's dojutsu. I can only marry clanless girls, I already told you that. I need to restore my clan, not join someone else's. There are a lot of clanless girls. Naruto shrugged, clenching his teeth to hide his disappointment at the situation. Very soon, the Uchiha will marry 3 girls at once and become unattainable. Well, my wife needs to be a strong kunoichi. Sasuke lazily spat out a blade of grass. There are few suitable candidates. Naruto paused, trying to calm his rapidly beating heart as he looked at his friend's handsome profile. Long dark eyelashes contrasted sharply with the pale skin of his face, framed by blue-black hair. Sasuke, suddenly dry lips, Naruto quickly licked them. Uchiha looked at him in surprise, raising an eyebrow. I have long wanted to tell you. Naruto's voice was hoarse. It seemed to him that his heart was pounding somewhere in his throat. You're kind of weird, Dobe, Sasuke noted, using his childhood nickname and pushing him shoulder to shoulder. I love you, Naruto blurted out, closing his eyes. And froze, waiting for Sasuke's reaction. There was silence for a minute, broken only by the rustling of leaves. Naruto opened his eyes and looked at the friend to whom he had just confessed his love. He looked at him with a burning gaze of red Sharingans. Did I hit you too hard, Dobe? I see that what you just said is true, it is the truth. Naruto swallowed noisily, wetting his stiff throat with saliva, and repeated, I love you, Uchiha Sasuke. He said, to see a grimace of disgust on his usually calm face. So that's why you, like an idiot, chased after me and wanted to return to Konoha? For what? To live happily ever after with me, or something? The Uchiha said with his characteristic evil sarcasm. Naruto hesitated, not knowing what to say. His plans did not extend that far, he was just tired of keeping it to himself, and all this reasoning about the upcoming wedding and the cold rational selection of candidates had finally gotten on his nerves. Sasuke did not love any of his future wives, but chose them based on the principle of incubators for future little Uchiha. What? Sasuke stood up and looked down at him, incinerating him with his darkened eyes again. Maybe you'll also ask if I love you? And if I want to fuck you? Suddenly, as often happened to him, Naruto was overcome by the state that many in Konoha called his unpredictability. And he jumped up, glaring back. If it's just that I'm a guy, he said with excited anger. For some reason, he remembered how they had stood opposite each other on the roof of the hospital to find out who was cooler. Exactly, Naruto. Sasuke laughed hoarsely, returning his face to a mask of calm. It turns out that you are not as stupid as everyone thinks you are. You finally realize that you are a guy. I can be a woman. For you, anyone. Naruto blurted out, trying to make a seal. But the Uchiha quickly intercepted his hand and hit him in the stomach so hard that he flew head over heels, crashing into a nearby tree. However, this blow was more of a preventative one than one that actually posed any real threat to life and health. Idiot! You can't live under henge your whole life. If that's all, I'll find a way, Naruto answered, wiping the dust from his cheek. Just tell me. He was flooded with despair. Just tell me, Sasuke. Please give me a chance. You're my friend, he whispered the last phrase barely audible. Uzumaki, you're a complete fool, Sasuke said instead of answering, dissolving in a gust of wind. Naruto wiped the tears from his eyes and squeezed the fabric of his jacket with his fingers near his heart. He wanted to howl like a wounded animal. I promise, he croaked, suppressing muffled sobs. I will keep my promise. I love you too much, Sasuke. Chapter 1. Meeting with the Past. Naruto climbed the rock and squinted, looking at the demon temple, located at the foot of the neighboring mountain. Several dozen guards wandered around the perimeter, the rest of the defenders were all over the place. He sighed and, after thinking, decided to have a snack. The sun had just begun to rise, and it was still unknown when he would have to have breakfast. Unfolding a bamboo leaf, Naruto took a rice ball bought in a village 100 kilometers west of Oni. It took quite a long time to get there. When they were here on a mission, Konoha did not skimp on urgent dispatch, and they took advantage of the transfer through the spatial seal of the temples, and on the way back their detachment, increased thanks to reinforcements, simply hired a ship and sailed to the land of fire, with the wind, in just a week. But his solo journey turned out to be much longer. Remembering how he demanded a vacation from Granny Tsunade, Naruto grinned. Naturally, no one let the last Jinchuriki go just like that, or rather they forced an invisible escort, in the form of 3 Anbu on him. He would like to see the long face of his granny when his toads unseal themselves as elite masked shinobi. Naruto didn't need an audience of all people. What he had planned. He sighed, seeing that he had eaten all 4 rice balls without noticing. He had come with good intentions, but out of habit, he had released some chakra from his fingers. Kurama, she dried the leaf, which rotted in a matter of moments. Having rubbed it and sent it to the wind, Naruto quickly examined the place of his short-term stop and jumped off the cliff, as always, leaving no traces. 3.5 years had passed since he had been to the demon temple for the last and only time. There had been no time to admire the architecture that time, and frankly, he was a little to blame for the fact that a good half of the buildings had been demolished by destructive jutsu. Now Naruto slowly moved towards the main gate, which was guarded by funny recruits in long hats and white, blue and green kikiji. He thought with regret that he didn't know any of the priestess's guards except for the late Tsuruho. And that could have made it much easier to enter the temple grounds. Hey! He was stopped by the cry of one of the guards, who was staring at his forehead protector. Shinobi? Apparently, the last visit of the shinobi, when most of the priestess's personal guard was killed, was remembered here with hostility, because archers immediately appeared on the walls. Calm down, guys. I'm one of them, Naruto smiled widely. I've come to visit Cheyenne. How dare you call Cheyenne-sama by just her first name? Some kid, noticeably younger than the others, seethed, tightly clutching the shaft of his naginata. Naruto looked away, remembering his assistance in creating the next priestess, and chuckled. Well, that's how it turned out, he shrugged. Just say Naruto came to see her. Uzumaki Naruto. He moved away from the gate, staying in sight, showing carelessness and friendliness. He had to hang around as a target for about 20 minutes. But in any case, Naruto had no doubt that if something happened, he would have time to replace himself with one of the clones that were hiding in the area. Uzumaki, Naruto-san. The guy who had reacted so jealously to his familiar address to the priestess approached him. The lady is waiting for you. Looking at his face and hair and obeying some intuition, Naruto asked, Are you by any chance related to Teruho? You look a lot like him. The guy almost tripped over the floorboard of the temple. Yes, I am Kosuke. Teruho was my older brother. He died protecting the lady. Yeah, I know. Naruto's face darkened, remembering the sacrifice that had brought him to the land of demons. He put his hand on Kosuke's shoulder, who looked back at him in surprise. Teruho was a good friend and a true warrior. He died as a hero. You were there? The brown eyes widened, the owner of which forgot about subordination and politeness, grabbing Naruto by the sleeve. Yes, he looked around. Are we there yet? The room seems familiar to me. Excuse me, the boy caught himself, then sat down on his knees and said officially, The priestess of the land of demons, Cheyenne-sama. The red mesh screen rose up, and Naruto saw an old acquaintance sitting on a special dais, to which several stone steps led. Behind the blonde in a beautiful purple-pink multi-layered kimono homunji, and a golden tiara on her head was something like a bas-relief with the emblem of the land of demons, surrounded by stone curls of fire. The priestess slowly opened her inhuman purple eyes with white pupils. I was waiting for you, Naruto, the melodic voice echoed. You know that I hate officialdom, he sighed. And it's even more stupid not to expect anything different from someone who sees destinies and all that future crap. Thank you for not making me languish for too long. Cheyenne laughed, which seemed to shock Kosuke. You're incorrigible, Naruto. He only made a sad face in response, which caused even more laughter. Yeah. They tell me that all the time, but you know, after the war, Naruto became serious. I only remain like this for my friends. Cheyenne stood up, took off her tiara, put it on the steps, and then quickly went down to him. It seems you've grown even more. Cheyenne impulsively hugged him, burying her face in his chest. I'm glad you decided to visit us, but I also know that you didn't come for this, the girl quietly sobbed. Hey, well, I'm not very clean from the road. Naruto was embarrassed, hugging her back and inhaling the floral scent from the light crown of her head. Cheyenne's long hair seemed to reach down to her heels, so it was soft and pleasant under her hands. She raised her head, and her unusual eyes narrowed slyly. Do you want to see her? From these words, everything inside Naruto turned over. He thought about it. But he did not allow himself to go too far into dreams. After all, they had immediately agreed with Cheyenne that if something worked out, then he had no parental rights, he was just a tool, a strong and hardy shinobi with a colossal amount of chakra. So that the future priestess was strong and could withstand any enemies and risen demons. But sometimes the abstract thought that somewhere on the other side of the world he had a child warmed him. Yes. Is it really a girl? Naruto squeezed out. I named her Mitsuko. She will be 3 years old in the spring. Kosuke turned crimson. Apparently the guy understood why Naruto could call his mistress simply by her first name. But first, get yourself in order, and then we'll all have breakfast together. Cheyenne smiled, slipping out of his embrace. Naruto looked at the little fair-haired girl with bright blue eyes and white pupils with interest and a loudly beating heart. Mom, who is this? Mitsuko asked loudly when she ran up and hid in the hem of her mother's clothes. This is a real shinobi. His name is Naruto. Cheyenne sat down, hugging the child. Naruto? The girl asked again, watching him sideways. Hello, Mitsuko. I'll tell you everything. But let's eat first, because I'm hungry. I've been walking to visit you and Mom for a whole month. Naruto smiled and sat down at a low table, to which the servants brought out a variety of food. You haven't eaten for a month? The girl's already big blue eyes widened, instantly losing her fear. No, he laughed quietly. But I definitely haven't eaten anything that delicious. Mitsuko, sit down and have breakfast, show hospitality. Naruto is our guest. Cheyenne stroked her daughter's hair. She became quite serious, which looked funny on the child's face. Having satisfied his first hunger, Naruto smiled contentedly and looked at Mitsuko. The girl evoked strange feelings in him. Having grown up without parents, he always dreamed of his own family, but when he was on a mission in the land of demons, he somehow didn't fit in with one night with Cheyenne with such a result, who looked with all her eyes at the real shinobi. There was an option that nothing worked out. And he, remembering the old agreement, was sad to realize that it was unknown whether the priestess would allow her daughter to find out who was in front of her or not. As if sensing the change in his mood, Cheyenne said, "Mitsuko, remember I told you about your dad. The bravest, strongest, and most courageous shinobi who saved me, our entire country, and the entire world from the terrible evil?" The girl nodded. "It's him, Muzumaki. Naruto is a true hero of the shinobi world, and your father." Chapter 2. Contract with the Seer. "She's a wonderful child," Naruto said, closing the shoji of the children's room and taking a last look at the sleeping girl. Cheyenne, who had already changed into knee-length home trousers and a short kosode in the morning, nodded in agreement. "You can't imagine what she can already do," the priestess said with secret pride in her voice. "I was completely inept at her age. And I wasn't allowed to study. That's what my mother ordered, if you remember. By the way, about age, you said that Mitsuko would only be 3 years old, and she's so..." Naruto fell silent, searching for the word. "Developed." Cheyenne giggled, covering the lower half of her face with a long sleeve. "Didn't you know that shinobi children learn everything quickly and are generally much, as you put it, more developed? Such children mature earlier than the offspring of ordinary people. It's all because of the chakra circulation system, Kirakukiai." At 10 months, Mitsuko already spoke in sentences, and at 2 years old, she intuitively began to use chakra. Cheyenne frowned slightly and quietly finished. "A few months ago, she had her first vision. Our gift and curse." Was she scared? For some reason, Naruto's heart stabbed. All these gifts and abilities beyond his understanding caused a mystical thrill. "No, rather, she got worried, said that I should not refuse Koski. It is even possible that her gift of a seer is stronger than mine. I spontaneously see, basically, only approaching violent death. Only something truly dangerous for me, my family, or my country. And she, unable to control the gift, also sees some upcoming events. With age, this can either pass or develop even more strongly." "And what about Koski?" Naruto asked curiously. "He is Teruho's brother," Cheyenne said, and he nodded to her, showing that he was already aware of this information. "I did not want to take him into service." "He's young and felt guilty?" Naruto drawled with understanding. Cheyenne only sighed tiredly. "He said that he had no reason to live if I refused." And looking at Mitsuko, I realized that this guy was not joking and would not back down. By the way, a grin returned to her purple eyes. It was Mitsuko who said that soon we would be visited by the most real shinobi. And I meditated for a long time and used the power of the priestess to understand in her vague prophecies that it would be you. "Do you already know why I came?" Naruto tensed up, remembering the main purpose of his journey to the land of demons. "Honestly, when I saw it the first time, I thought that my gift was malfunctioning and showing some nonsense." Cheyenne bit her lip and looked closely into his eyes. "No," he looked away. "I think you saw everything correctly. By the way," Naruto looked around in surprise. While talking, they walked through several corridors and found themselves in a small inner garden, near which a small waterfall was flowing from the rocks that surrounded the temple ridge. He remembered that behind this waterfall was one of the secret passages, through which he and a team of shinobi had once led the priestess they were guarding. "Last time, I didn't notice what a magnificent view it was." "Yes. The garden is probably my favorite place in the temple." Cheyenne smiled at him and raised her head to the full shining moon. Her face in the silver glow seemed very fragile and young. However, how old was she? 19 or 20? They approached the lake near the waterfall. On the shore there was a wide swing that had not been there before. Cheyenne sat down and swayed slightly, looking at the silvery ripples of the water. This reminds me of our short trip together. Remember how you made me bathe, Naruto? The girl smiled sadly. Sit down, my hero, and tell me your next crazy plans. Naruto took a deep breath, smiled, and plopped down next to her, rocking the swing and making Cheyenne laugh. Tsuruho, Naruto recalled the events that had long since sunk into the past. When he was killed, he looked exactly like you. The shinobi who killed him did not guess about the substitution. And after death, he remained like this. Like this. You said then that this technique can be used once, and once reincarnated, you remain like this forever. I remembered this secret jutsu of the land of demons. And I came here. To you? Will you help? He looked at Cheyenne's saddened face. Yes, I will help you, Naruto. A thin, graceful hand lay on his rough palm. What? He was slightly confused, internally expecting hysterics, misunderstanding, excuses, and other things that the same Sakura, Shizen, or Granny Tsunade would definitely do. Will you help? Really? And you won't even try to convince me? The girl's face, pale in the moonlight, was marked by a thin smile. And there was something otherworldly in her dilated white pupils. I already told you that my gift is a curse, Naruto. I looked through many variations of the future. But in none of them did I manage to change or somehow influence your decision. You are to love him? He swallowed, infected by the mysticism of her words. Yes, I will not back down. I thought about it very carefully. You are right, you cannot dissuade me. But you understand that as the ruler of the land of demons, I must also think about my people? Revealing a secret technique to an outside shinobi. I'm sorry, but you will have to pay for this secret, Cheyenne said quietly but firmly. Pay? How? His heart began to beat quickly in anticipation of the price for future happiness. You will give me a son, Cheyenne said simply and blushed. Son? He felt his cheeks start to burn too. Yes, while you're still a man you can. Well, you can. He'll be an exact copy of you, the priestess said without raising her eyes. I don't think this can be considered a betrayal of your love. Especially since it's one-sided for now. That's the price, Naruto. When? He was embarrassed. After Cheyenne, he had no one, daily training, war, then appearing within reach of Sasuke and fully realizing his love. In 2 days, the position of the luminaries will be suitable, the priestess answered, looking at the sky. But if you want to rehearse, cheerful notes returned to her tense voice. Did you know that I would agree? Naruto asked. This is one of the best options for the future, the girl answered after thinking. But this is what concerns my country. As for you, no. Please don't tell me. He stopped her with a panicked gesture. I don't want to know. You already predicted my death last time. I've had enough predictions. Actually, I couldn't see your future until we met and agreed. Cheyenne smiled indulgently, for a moment turning into that petty pest that Naruto recognized at the beginning of their long-ago mission. I would go crazy if I knew everything about everyone and everything, and even with options. So, I still don't know how what I've planned will affect you, the girl smiled, swinging the swing with her bare feet. Aren't you afraid? There will be no turning back, and being a kunoichi, and a woman in general, in this man's world, is difficult. No, I'm not afraid. Naruto shook his head, touching his long hair, which seemed like liquid silver in the bright moonlight. Cheyenne thoughtfully followed his hand. Do you know how much care hair alone requires? And the longer it is, the more difficult it is. Priestesses are not allowed to cut their hair, did you know? Although sometimes I would like to. Your friend, Sakura, had short pink hair, I even envied her. Although she is quite rough and hardly looks like a girl. She will be Sasuke's wife. Naruto blurted out before he could bite his tongue. Too, I see. A thin finger touched his sharp chin. You said that he was going to restore the clan? So will you have competitors or what? He was officially allowed 3 wives. Naruto admitted, sadly remembering that he had not been in Konoha for a month and still had the same amount of time to return, by which time the Uchiha could decide on a third candidate, and then all his efforts and sacrifices would be in vain. Sharing Sasuke, assuming he would accept him at all, with 2 more girls was not particularly joyful as it was, but if he didn't make it in time. Naruto tried not to think about that scenario. Oh, I know that law. Cheyenne nodded, looked at him carefully, and seemed to read his thoughts. Are you afraid you won't make it in time? He wanted to have one wedding with everyone at once, so as not to return to this again, the fucking rationalist. He muttered, turning gloomy. Then, tomorrow morning, I'll ask the elder of the Oniyama clan to teach you their secret technique. An elegant palm squeezed his hand. We'll perform the ritual of shadow mirror transformation later. Cheyenne was embarrassed, but continued. After you, say goodbye to your male self. I can use the spatial seal of my temple to transfer you to the land of fire. To the temple of fire, to be more precise. I don't know, however, the distance from it to Konoha, but I think it will significantly reduce the time on the way back. Cheyenne. You. He didn't even have words. Naruto did not expect such a gift of fate and, overwhelmed with feelings, hugged the girl tightly, burying his face in her deliciously smelling hair. You are the best friend and the best mother. We. Forgive me for leaving you and Mitsuko. I am so sorry to part with you. But I understand you, Naruto. The girl stroked his face and imprinted a light peck on his cheek. As a ruler, I know what difficult choices and hard decisions are. So I understand everything. Thank you for this. Chapter 3. The acrid smoke of parting. As you should know, Naruto-san, the usual transformation technique, Henji no Jutsu, allows a ninja to transform into a living or inanimate object by manipulating his chakra. The time it takes to transform and maintain a given form depends on the level and strength of the shinobi, as well as some other factors. For example, if you transform into stone, the technique dissipates if you start moving. If you transform into another person, the technique dissipates when the integrity of the shell or your concentration is broken. For example, the white-haired old man with thick bushy eyebrows thought, if you transform into me, the technique will dissipate from a strong blow, or if I injure you, if you experience pain or fear, or in some other way break your concentration on the technique. Therefore, even very strong shinobi cannot remain under henge for too long. Usually this technique is used to confuse the enemy, sneak into the camp under someone else's guise, and is never used for espionage. In addition, there are a number of restrictions, such as maintaining body weight. Therefore, a small child will not be able to turn into a huge brute, except for a very short time, and he will be very light. And if a large shinobi turns into a child, then his weight will give him away, leaving deeper traces. Well, you get it. Naruto nodded, silently agreeing with the words of the elder of the Oniyama clan, to whom Cheyenne sent him for training. He remembered the first attempts at henge, when he turned into the short third Hokage or Irika-sensei who did not grow up tall. Of course, in the matter of reincarnation and espionage there are secrets. So I heard that there is one clan that does not have their own faces, and they really turn into other people, even copying their character, but this is their Kekkai Genkai, a unique ability of the body. Yes, I once encountered such shinobi, Naruto spoke up, daring to interrupt the old man. They have a unique technique. The elder narrowed his eyes and nodded, lighting his pipe. Since ancient times, the Oniyama clan has protected the priestesses of the land of demons, and the shadow mirror reincarnation technique was invented specifically to protect Our Lady. Unfortunately, like any forbidden technique, it has a weak spot, which makes the technique forbidden. No return is possible, Naruto repeated after the old man with just his lips. But I see you already know about it, the elder said, releasing clouds of acrid smoke, looking out from under his bushy eyebrows, and chewing his lip, asked, Tell me, Naruto-san, why do you need this? This technique was created to protect, and not to seize power by deception or replace another person. Looking into his eyes, Naruto realized that his answer would determine whether he would learn about the technique or not, even against the priestess's orders. You see, I just want to always be near the man I love and protect him from his darkness. But for that, I need to become a woman, he said in one breath, without taking his eyes off the elder's eyes. I see. They answered him after a minute's pause that seemed like an eternity. Then listen. Look what I can do, Dad! Mitsuko stood on the bridge in one smooth movement, and then walked on her hands. You're great, such a nimble girl. Naruto smiled, picking up his daughter, dressed in a training jumpsuit, who climbed on him like a monkey and hugged him tightly around the neck. Blue eyes with white pupils carefully studied his face, and the child's palm counted his demonic stripes on his cheeks. Someone so big, beautiful, red and fluffy is hidden inside you. I had a dream today. He has many, many tails, and we played. And sometimes he comes out and turns golden. Big like a whole mountain. Only you haven't walked together like this for a long time. Why, Dad? Kurama snorted and laughed from the depths of his inner world. I like this girl, as restless and curious as a little friend of mine. Probably because my friend and I are too big and can break something if we go for a walk, Naruto laughed, kissing Mitsuko on her tiny nose. And in my dream I saw that we were walking on a large stone plateau. There is nothing to break there. Completely honest and innocent eyes looked at him. You know, I, like my mother, have a gift, and I can see the future. Yet it looks like the girl, like her mother, has a gift for sweet blackmail. Kurama laughed, brushing away non-existent tears. Then let's ask your mother where there is a suitable plateau where a big nine-tailed fox can walk. Naruto smiled, giving in to his daughter's request. His heart ached, breaking. He thought that a few more days here, and he would not be able to leave. Is it possible to leave such sweet eyes, small palms, this tiny trusting happiness? But not to leave means to betray your love and yourself and to be tormented by doubts all your life. But doubts have already begun to appear. The only consolation was that there was someone to take care of his children, and the country of demons always stood apart from the quarrels of the 5 great countries and the shinobi wars. Behind the mountain pass, to the north of the temple, there really was a mountain plateau. And Cheyenne also wanted to walk with them and look at the golden fluffy one. The walk was a great success. He united with Kurama in the golden cover mode, enclosing Cheyenne and Mitsuko in the translucent body of the golden fox. Mitsuko even began to talk and ask Kurama something about how he lives in Dad. And he found an impressionable listener and began to pretend to complain about chakra leaks, and that he has little light, and no living creatures, continuous boredom and darkness, sleep or watch what's happening in the outside world. In general, the day passed unnoticed and very cheerfully. I don't want to go to bed. Mitsuko burst into tears. I know that when I fall asleep, you'll leave me. I'm sorry, honey, but I have to. Naruto sadly smacked his daughter in the forehead, hugging her. I hope that sometimes you'll dream of me, and you of me. You can do it, right? You're such a talented girl. Tears were in his eyes, too. Don't forget that you're the future ruler, Mitsuko. Naruto, standing behind her, reminded his daughter. Cheyenne. And your life will be full of losses and difficult decisions. But your father decided so and made his choice, so you must respect his choice and his decision. The tears were wiped away by the sleeve of her pajamas. Yes, Mom. I'm sorry, Dad, I understand everything. I'll try to dream of you. I'll just miss you. I'll miss you very much too, Mitsuko. Naruto squeezed the small body even tighter, inhaling the childish caramel milk smell. Forgive me, baby. Soft, sweet lips, leaving after the PC a taste of bitter wormwood of the pain of separation. Tender cheeks, hot from the blush, on which salty drops of his tears fall. Naruto, don't cry and don't regret. Cheyenne wiped the treacherous moisture from his eyelids. There's no need to regret anything. Everything will be fine with us. Thank you for everything, quick PC of a thin snow-white neck and rounded shoulders. For our daughter, for our future son, for letting me go, he whispered in the madness of the night when everything will be decided and will reach the point of no return. Naruto. Naruto, the quiet moans of a girl with otherworldly purple eyes, glowing in the dark with strange patterns. Scattered silky hair liquid silver on black sheets. You asked if I can become a woman. You know, I have an excellent example before my eyes. If I didn't love another, I could love you, Cheyenne. Today, love me today, Naruto. After all, this is your last time. Her thin girlish arms hugged him, pressing him impulsively, igniting the fire of passion. The spiral in her lower abdomen twisted sweetly and madly. The last time. Blood pounding in her temples. The floral scent of her skin melting under his hands. The neat areolas of her beautiful, high, full breasts begging to be tasted. PSSPs of nipples, listening to the quiet STN, giving birth to excitement and the soft bliss of bliss. Naruto. Ah! Naruto. Thin fingers entwined themselves in his hair. Enveloping warmth, affectionate, gentle. Quiet rhythmic cries for his every movement. To stay on the edge of euphoria for so long, moving steadily to a particularly long STN and a squeezing, tightening abyss of sweet, intoxicating pleasure. To slip and dissolve for a few moments somewhere outside of space and time. And then all over again. And again and again. For the last time. Having sated oneself to complete relaxation, to exhaustion, to close one's eyes, when the dawn of a new day began to break outside the windows. Soon, very soon, its point of no return will come. Chapter 4. Step into the unknown. Before entering the ritual circle of the forbidden technique, which he had laid out with stones in advance in a secluded corner of the demon temple garden, Naruto made a female clone of himself. The girl who appeared was naked, without any clouds, which mainly appeared because he did not have a very good idea of such an image as a child. And as an adult, he used his seduction technique only in friendly competition with Konohamaru, but even there he left room for the opponent's imagination. So this is what you want to become? Cheyenne thoughtfully touched her chin, examining his clone. In principle, if you compare, Naruto believed that his female version was very similar, and at the same time not similar to himself. The same blue eyes, perhaps a little larger in the cut, the same small neat nose, but the mouth is smaller and the lips are a little plumper, as well as a softer oval of the face. No stripes on the cheeks, clear skin of a soft, golden hue, high full breasts, narrow waist and beautiful hips were brazenly copied from Cheyenne's body. Shorter than him, but taller than most of the Konoha girls, he was not eager to become a shorty. It was enough that in childhood he was constantly called small. The difference in height with the body prototype of the priestess made the legs a little longer, which he also liked. Thick and lush golden hair reached the waist. Fluffy bangs hid 2/3 of the forehead. The girl was also quite trained, because under her soft skin, when she moved, the muscles played. Naruto did not have the slightest desire to become a weakling either. Maybe you can fix something in my image? He asked Cheyenne. Otherwise it will be forever. He forced himself to smile. The priestess walked around the clone, touched it, looked at its arms and legs, even looked into its mouth, revealing its snow-white, even teeth. A very pretty girl. She pronounced her verdict. Maybe make her eyelashes a little darker and longer. And maybe a mole somewhere? Because there isn't a single mole on her whole body. Maybe on her chest or a small one on her cheek? Naruto obediently made the changes to the clone, memorizing its detailed image, as the elder of the Oniyama clan had taught, and interrupted the cloning technique. I'm ready. He entered the ceremonial circle, in which a drawing of the facets of existence was laid out. At least that's how the elder explained the 3 small semicircles laid out inside, the transformation of the body, soul, and chakra. Naruto concentrated his chakra, imagining his future image. He folded 4 hand seals, different from the standard ones. A flash of white light blinded him. Everything inside him vibrated, pounded, as if stitched with invisible threads. He continued to concentrate on imagining the girl he would become. Then it was all over. Did it work? He raised his hands to his face, which had become more graceful, touching himself and feeling the long hair on his head. And looking down, his gaze rested on his chest. Yes, you did it, Cheyenne exhaled. Put on a yukata, let's go, we'll pick out some clothes for you. Yes, of course, he remembered that they were in a garden, where servants or guards could come at any moment. Because of this, he felt a little uneasy. Slipping into Cheyenne's room, Naruto froze in front of a large full-length mirror. Everything really worked out. Only the voice remained the same, but yours wasn't very low, so it's not even SKS, his girlfriend said, rummaging through the closet in search of clothes. Here. This should do. Naruto looked at the offered dark blue knee-length breeches, similar, only crimson, to those worn by Cheyenne. A t-shirt made of chakra-conducting mesh. And a short blue kusoto with golden flowers on the collar and sleeve. A black belt, as wide as a palm, embroidered with the same golden threads, was offered for it. The new Naruto image set also included underwear. I know you're used to different clothes, but these are quite comfortable. You'll also need shoes. I think yours will be too big for you now. Now I'll give the orders. The priestess left the room, leaving him alone with his reflection. Throwing off his yukata, Naruto looked at his new body. It was done well, everything was as ordered, as it was on the trial version of the clone, and also a tiny mole decorated the cheek, on the line of the mouth, giving a strange charm, and a slightly larger mole was in the cleavage of the right breast, attracting even more attention to the secondary sexual characteristics. Having batted its eyelashes and made a cute face, the reflection grinned slyly. Well, I'm just a charm. While Naruto changed, shoes of the right size had already been found and were a more elegant version of the standard blue ninja boots to the ankles with an open toe and no heel, which he secretly feared. It's just that in addition to the toes, the heels were open, and there was also a small slit on the instep. Have you tried using chakra yet? Cheyenne asked. Perhaps you will not be able to immediately adapt to the new body. Naruto was overcome by a chill, and, having formed a seal of concentration, he felt with relief that everything was in order with his chakra and its volumes. Even the seal of the demon soul, to his greatest relief, felt as usual. The elder said that his fuin on his wrists and shoulders, in which some different useful things were sealed, including kunai and shuriken, would most likely disappear, but he could not say anything about more global seals, especially since Kurama, after multiple unifications, had long become a part of his body and soul. So during the technique, he also concentrated on the fact that he would become a female Jinchuriki, not wanting his demonic friend to suffer from his risky experiments on himself. Having sent a mental question, he received an answer that everything was fine with the nine-tailed beast, and calmed down. I will have to seal my weapon on myself again, Naruto said, spinning in front of the mirror. The clothes fit well, and everything went well with each other, with his eyes and hair. He even had a suspicion that the seer had foreseen this, because her wardrobe consisted mainly of pink-purple-burgundy things. Get used to the fact that you're a girl now. Cheyenne hugged him from behind. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you. However, the technique should gradually help you with this. She stroked his hair and braided it into two high ponytails, using similar fasteners, as on her hair, elastic bands with two blue glass balls. Your weapon, which you unsealed, and your things will be brought now. You're right, Naruto drawled. I need to get used to the fact that I'm a girl. That's what I wanted. Looking at his reflection, Naruto repeated. That's what I wanted. Preparations for the trip to Konoha took a few more hours. Naruto applied new fuin to herself, which Jiraiya had taught her during their journey. However, their capacity remained small, due to the fact that almost her entire body was occupied by the seal of the demon's soul, holding Kurama. Having thought about it, and decided that she would hardly wear pants like before, she applied additional fuin to her open shins, sealing a set of kunai and a first aid kit there. Cheyenne also gave her a rare, special scroll from the time of the maelstrom, in which a falcon was sealed, telling her to send a message and make correspondence between them possible, which Naruto was sincerely happy about. With Mitsuko, Naruto decided not to say goodbye in this form, deciding that the child had had enough of a shock. She and Cheyenne proceeded to the spatial seal of the demon temple, and the priestess, having released a sufficient amount of her chakra into the force lines burned into the stone platform, threw it to a similar seal near the fire temple, where Naruto once met Sora. Her appearance did not go unnoticed, and the two monks who were guarding the seal froze, looking at the guest. Who is she? One of the monks asked a question, and the second quickly disappeared, apparently to warn the others. Naruto knew that after the massacre that those two from Akatsuki had arranged, there were very few monks left in the fire temple, and now its main population was made up of acolytes who had appeared in the past 2.5 years. Of course, peacetime had arrived, but there were still gangs of nuke-nin and malevolent ninjas from other countries that were not part of the Great Five. I am a shinobi. Konoha, she said, pointing to her forehead protector, which had migrated from her forehead to her embroidered belt. I came from the land of demons. I'm heading to the leaf. The monk, who saw the symbol, noticeably relaxed and even smiled, rubbing his bald head. Then you need to go through the temple, go down the mountain and head north. Konoha is 400 kilometers from us. You can probably get there in 2 days. The still very young man looked her over from head to toe with doubt. Although, maybe you'll only get there in 3. After all, you say that you're a shinobi. Hey, don't underestimate me. Naruto grinned and suddenly remembered Cheyenne words about how girls are always treated patronizingly, considering them weaker than guys, regardless of their abilities or skills. And if a girl is strong and shows her strength, this will scare off most of the male sex. A paradox. But it turns out that men like to see weakness in a girl. Although, maybe I won't get there in 4, after all, it's 400 kilometers through the forests, she drawled with a sly smile, changing her mind about asserting her rights. The monk nodded importantly, confirming the priestess's words and causing Naruto to be slightly confused. Okay, then it turns out that I need to leave as early as possible to make it to Konoha, she nodded, heading towards the fire temple. And where are you in such a hurry, beauty? The curious seal guard's question caught up with her. To my wedding, Naruto answered, internally preparing himself that this would really be so. Chapter 5. A Fateful Decision. Sakura! Sasuke called out. The girl turned to him and smiled sweetly, quickly adjusting her bangs. Yes, Sasuke-ku, his future wife stopped short, as he told her that he could not stand such an address. Yes, Sasuke? Sakura corrected herself, and tugged at a strand of her pink hair. Sasuke wrinkled his nose slightly, not understanding such a change in her mask. This girl in love always made him wary, and not even because of her obsession with him, but because she constantly pretended in front of him. She never stood on ceremony with Naruto. Flashed through the mind of the future head of the Uchiha clan, and made him wince internally. Damn Naruto. The dumb blonde disappeared from the village after their conversation and made him worry. And to worry so much that after the mission he runs to Sakura to ask about Uzumaki, because the 5th Hokage is busy with the report of another team. Naruto is back? Sasuke said in an indifferent tone, looking through the smiling girl. No, Sakura shook her head, and her face reflected displeasure. Since he left the village more than a month ago, since then there has been no word, no sign. He, as always, is so irresponsible, her fist clenched, as if ready to set the hero of Konoha straight. Sasuke barely refrained from rolling his eyes. He did not understand this craving for beating up those who do not answer, especially when the girl is fighting not with an opponent, but with a comrade and, practically, with a friend. Doesn't Sakura, as a medic, know that if you hit someone on the head, a person will not become smarter? It occurred to him that after all, in clans the upbringing is much better and stricter, there the kunoichi remains a girl. The same Hyuga Hinata wouldn't even think of hitting Kiba or Shino. And Yamanaka Ino also almost never raised her hands without a reason. So, there is no news. Sasuke turned around to return to the Hokage's residence, when suddenly he was stopped by Sakura's hand, which grabbed his sleeve. He turned around in surprise, looking into the acid green eyes of his future wife. Sasuke. Her cheeks blushed. Maybe we can go somewhere in the evening? I have things to do. Freeing the fabric of his clothes, he jumped off the balcony of the hospital where they were talking, not giving the girl a chance to say anything else. Offered to Sakura and Tenten. Sasuke did it a month and a half ago, and both girls did not refuse, but Tenten, at least, did not pester him with such requests, and this added to the advantages of this kunoichi in his eyes. Evil tongues claimed that Tenten never came to terms with the death of Hyuga Niji, with whom she was in love, and she did not care who to marry. Sasuke did not care. He also married not because of feelings, but to continue the family line and restore his clan. At least from Tenten one could not expect obsessive attention and total adoration, as from some. Sakura demanded a special attitude to herself, as to his bride, and constantly hinted at dates and some kind of romance when they met, clearly angry that he mainly asked about Naruto. Sasuke even felt sorry that the seemingly strong, smart, and capable Kunoichi was such a fool. If there was a choice, he would hardly have proposed to Harino Sakura, but alas, many Kunoichi died in the war, especially clanless, poorly trained in techniques and weak, compared to the women of Nara, Hyuga, Sarutobi, Yamanaka and other, smaller clans. So he didn't really have a choice. Sasuke only hoped that his children wouldn't have pink hair. After a conversation with Uzumaki, when he unexpectedly confessed his strange feelings, as if his fangirls and the same Sakura as a wife weren't enough for him, Sasuke took a solo mission and left Konoha. The village hidden in the leaves, according to the last Uchiha, had turned into a branch of a mental hospital, and he needed to come to his senses a little and think about the situation. Returning a week later, he learned that Naruto, having collected his belongings, left the village in an unknown direction. And it even happened by chance that during his conversation with Senju 3 Uzumaki toads arrived to Tsunade, who spat out 3 A and B who were watching their master onto the Godame's table. Knowing this fool, Sasuke was rightfully worried that he would break his neck somewhere trying to prove something to someone. 5 weeks had passed since that strange confession. Uzumaki still hadn't returned, and Sasuke was getting angrier and angrier. After reporting on his mission, he decided to stretch his legs at a distant training ground, not wanting to meet with anyone he knew. The training ground reminded him of Naruto again, since that's where everything had happened, and the only friend who really mattered to him had ruined everything with his ridiculous words. Sasuke could pretend that nothing had happened, but he knew Naruto and knew that he couldn't pretend. That's just the Jinchuriki's character, open and honest. Sasuke even decided that he would apologize for his words when they met, and perhaps everything would be as before, no matter what, but he didn't want to lose his friend at all. He even came up with an explanation that most likely something switched in Naruto because of his obsession with returning him to Konoha, which is why this confession was made. Uzumaki simply got something mixed up and couldn't figure out his feelings. After all, it was ridiculous. Suddenly, he felt familiar chakra on the training ground. Sasuke froze. Chakra Naruto was unique, like all Bijou carriers, and 500 meters to the south there was definitely an Uzumaki, but there was something strange in his aura. Taking a deep breath, Uchiha jumped down from the tree, heading towards his best friend, who he felt was sitting on the bank of a stream. But when he came out into the clearing and reached the stream, he saw that Naruto was sitting on the bank and throwing pebbles into the water, being under a henge. The girl with 2 long golden ponytails was at least dressed this time. Sasuke came up and sat down next to her. "You were gone for a long time." He sighed, and started the conversation first, overcoming himself. Naruto, as if waking up, shuddered, and Sasuke realized that he had managed to get to his friend unnoticed, although his animal half never allowed it. This meant one of 2 things: either he had mastered the skill of hidden approach even better, or Naruto was so deep in thought and relaxed that he didn't pay attention to him. "Yeah?" Big blue eyes with some strange expectant expression looked at him. "Yeah." Sasuke nodded conciliatorily. "Why did you put this henge on yourself? Do you think I won't recognize you?" "Well, what if?" The girl in front of him shrugged. Sasuke looked skeptically and, making a concentration seal, showing that he wouldn't even need the Sharingan, said, "Disperse." Nothing happened, and the girl's blue eyes continued to look at him from under long, fluffy eyelashes. "I've always dreamed of seeing such a stupid expression on your face, Uchiha," Naruto said, grinning, and the hesitation in the declension did not go unnoticed by Sasuke. "What kind of technique is this?" He activated the dojutsu, looking at the blonde in front of him. He saw no interference from illusions or shadow modeling. The body was real. The chakra belonged to Naruto, and the voice was his, and the nine tails was still sealed inside. What did you do? You're not Naruto? No, I'm Naruto, the girl dismissed his assumption. It's just that now I'm like this. But you're a girl, Sasuke exclaimed, stunned by the news. Yes, and I'll remain a girl forever, throwing another pebble into the water, the blonde said calmly, so familiarly, in an Uzumaki way, pursing her lips. Naruto! Sasuke abruptly turned his transformed friend to face him. What did you do, Rikudo pick you up? You didn't want to be with me, a guy, and I became a girl, he simply answered. I used one secret technique. Can you get your body back? Sasuke asked, already understanding what his friend would answer. No. Naruto freed herself from his grip and stood up. You were looking for a third wife. What else do you need? Uzumaki. His fists clenched. He wanted to punch his idiot friend from the bottom of his heart, who went to such lengths because of him. But Sasuke suddenly noticed how the girl Naruto had transformed into his lower lip was trembling slightly, and all his anger evaporated. He pulled her close and pressed her to his chest, knowing that it helped in situations like this. Naruto began to breathe heavily, but to Sasuke's relief, she did not burst into tears, looking up at him with dry eyes. Dope! Was all he could squeeze out. A minute later, the noticeably reddened girl carefully freed herself from his embrace. I still need to go to Grandma, Naruto said embarrassedly, and Sasuke looked with interest at the girl who had turned his sometimes awkward friend into a girl. The new Naruto was quite pretty. Whatever Uzumaki had done, he had turned out to be a beauty. Long hair sparkling in the sun, a face with a touch of naivety, which made him look stupid as a guy, but looked natural and cute on a woman. Big blue eyes with long fluffy eyelashes, plump little lips, a very beautiful curvy body, long legs and a height slightly higher than other girls, but slightly shorter than Sasuke. If we ignore the fact that his friend is sitting inside this gorgeous body, then such a beauty and strong kunoichi would suit him very well as a wife. In the end, he agreed to Sakura, and Uzumaki is no worse, especially if nothing can be returned back. And it would be awkward to refuse, if Naruto went for such a transformation for his sake. Let's go, I'll see you off, Sasuke said, having made a fateful decision.